Chapter 426, Fake? Everyone, look at what they've done to us. How could they treat us like this? They don't even have a single ounce of sincerity. They're completely unscrumptious. Everyone, don't buy their things. The woman ran off to tell others, yelling angrily. Anna didn't care, she just smiled. Is the makeup on your faces going to be ruined? Oh, are you having a nosebleed or are you bleeding somewhere? Why is there blood dripping down your faces? The woman touched the paint they had smeared on and realized that it's being wasted away by the basin of water. However, the pimples on their faces didn't disappear. We painted our faces because we wanted to have a higher compensation. We admit that we were lying, but the pimples on our faces are real. They were indeed caused by your cosmetics. You have to admit this, right? The woman said, feeling a little embarrassed. Anna observed their pimples carefully and smiled disdainfully. The acne on your faces is definitely not caused by my cosmetics. It's because of your endorsement dysfunction. You shouldn't have come to my place to cause trouble. You should have gone to the hospital to see a doctor. You're old. This is acne, not pimples caused by an allergic reaction. Your employer has sought you out because you have dense acne on your faces. It looks like it was caused by my cosmetics, but in fact it's caused by your own health. You can't blame me for this. The test report is about to come out. You can wait here. My lawyer will give you a letter directly and send it to your house. After the paint on the women's faces washed away, they looked even uglier. The reports present realized that the situation was becoming more and more interesting, so they aimed their cameras at the women's faces and took extremely clear photos of the acne. The viewers in front of the television were disgusted. After all, the pimples were dense, and without the protection of paint, they looked even more unappealing. The women stood rooted at the spot, not sure what to do. They looked at a certain direction, but the person had turned and left without a word. They were frightened and were just about to beg for mercy when Mosan rushed over with test results. Young madam, the test results from the same batch of products have been released. These products met the requirements and are of the highest quality. The Mo family will never hurt anyone. We definitely will sue those who accuse us. The Mo family will never allow anyone to tarnish their name. Mosan held up the report and read through. Anran smiled. Boss Kin, don't blame me for being rude if you use such petty tricks against the Mo family again. Anran stared at the woman in front of her with a sharp gaze. Now scram. The woman scrambled out of the crowd's sight. The reporters surrounded her and passed their microphones to her. Miss Land, are you saying that this has something to do with Kin Hao? Miss Land, please explain in detail how you found out that they were fake actors. Anran looked at the camera and smiled. Boss Kin, if you see the interview now, I would like to tell you not to use such methods against us again. Malicious competition isn't desirable. I prefer to compete based on my own abilities. Anran broke through the reporters and got into the car. Kin Hao, who was in front of the television, was a little angry. He turned to look at his daughter. Is this how you do things? You found several ugly women with fake makeup and poor acting skills. Aren't you underestimating Lan Anran? Kin Shu didn't speak at the side. She had indeed underestimated that woman. Dad, I don't know how it became like this. How did that woman figure it out? Sure, I told you before that malicious competition isn't advisable. Now that you failed, the Kin family is going to be accused of malicious competition. You can't win against that woman. Kin Taiyan spoke. You are my son. No matter what your sister did wrong, she is still your sister. Isn't she doing this for the sake of the Kin family? She isn't like you, supporting an outsider. Kin Hao looked at his disapproving son, who only knew how to defend others. Tell the company's publicity department to clarify immediately that this has nothing to do with us. Otherwise, we will suffer a huge blow. He sighed helplessly. Kin Shu failed again. She hated that woman. She couldn't be defeated like this. She needed revenge. After that, the Kin family's company issued a statement saying that they had nothing to do with this incident. But this statement was meant for outsiders. How could Anran believe their words? Those with discerning eyes could tell at a glance that the Kin family's doing, and that they had only been just discovered. so they could only try to clear their name. Because of his sister, Yanran was worried about losing fans when he was thinking about how to make a public relations announcement. In the end, because of Yanran, he had gained yet another wave of fans. He was currently filming the suspense film in the production team. His dressing room was next to Li Shishi's. Although she had only a cameo, she was very popular. A cameo would take several episodes, and the production team had specifically squeezed out a large dressing room for her. She took advantage of Yanran's break to visit him. "Yanran, long time no see. We meet again." Li Shishi smiled. She was dressed in costume, eating an apple as she stood at the door. "Sis Shishi, long time no see." Yanran answered her politely without another glance. "Actually, I wanted to say that I'm really sorry about last time. I didn't do it on purpose. I had something going and I haven't apologized to you yet. I don't know what something like that would happen. So I hope you won't blame me." Li Shishi felt that Yanran's attitude towards her was not as good anymore. This lukewarm attitude made Li Shishi, who had always been fawned over, uncomfortable. "I've never blamed you, so don't worry about it too much. After all, I don't hold on to hatred." Although Yanran spoke with a smile, the meaning was unclear to Li Shishi. "Yanran, you..." Li Shishi stepped into the room wanting to talk to him. "Sis, I'm about to start filming. Let's talk again next time. I heard that you're just in a cameo this time, so we still have a chance to talk." Yanran was obviously avoiding her. He was really scared because of what happened last time. His goddess wasn't this woman, but his biological sister. Li Shishi couldn't continue like this. Now that Tan Shilin had another woman outside, she couldn't keep lying. She was a popular celebrity. How could she have such a big belly? Yanran was in the zone, and Li Shishi's guest appearance was in the next few episodes. It wasn't her turn yet, so she still had a chance. After shoot was over, Yanran left the dressing room and returned to his hotel. Chapter 427, Revealing Herself. Coincidentally, Li Shishi was also arranged to stay in the same hotel as him. He wanted to complain to the director, but didn't know what to say and could only endure it. That night, Li Shishi knocked on his room door, wanting to carry out the plan tonight. But now, Yanran was being careful. He had learned to look through the peephole before opening the door. "Who is it?" He didn't see anyone at the peephole. He didn't dare to open in such a situation. If he was framed or photographed by the paparazzi, he wouldn't be able to explain himself. "Yanran, it's me. Open the door. I have something to discuss with you. We'll be shooting in the next few days, so there are some things I want to discuss with you." Li Shishi wore some sexy pajamas with silk slippers at the door. She believed that no man could resist such a honey trap. "Sis Shishi, you should go back first. We can discuss this tomorrow. It's too late. I need to sleep now." Li Shishi continued speaking anxiously after she saw that Yanran didn't take the bait. "It's been a few hours since we finished filming, and you're going to sleep now. Open the door and let's discuss this. If you don't open the door, I'm going to keep shouting for you." Li Shishi smiled. Yanran didn't have a choice. He turned on the recording function on his phone, placed it in his pocket, and went to open the door. "Sis Shishi, what part of the script is it that you need to be discussed so late at night?" "Aren't I going to be in a scene with you in a few days? I feel that there's some parts that aren't suitable and would like to make some changes, which is why I'm here. I need to think through the script or I won't be able to sleep." Li Shishi smiled and entered the room without waiting for Yanran to speak. "Your room is much better than mine. You have no idea how small my room is." Li Shishi sat on the sofa and said. She looked around. There didn't seem to be anything particularly slippery, so she would have to do it herself. "Sis Shishi, where's the script you wanted to discuss? Didn't you bring it with you?" He looked at Li Shishi's empty hand, which was only holding a mobile phone. She was wearing revealing pajamas, and he could tell at a glance that she wasn't here to discuss the script. "Look at me. I forgot the script, but some of the scenes were taken on my phone. You can take a look." Li Shishi smiled and took out her phone, moving closer to Yanran. Yanran was still a little wary. He didn't move closer, but Li Shishi did. Just as he was about to crane his neck to find out, Shishi suddenly kissed him on the cheek. Says Shishi, what are you doing? He covered his face in disbelief. Yanran, actually, I like fresh meat like you a lot. I don't know if you like me or not, but it doesn't matter if you do. You'll grow to like me eventually. There's only the two of us here tonight. Why don't... Li Shishi reached out to take off her clothes. Yanran turned his head and grabbed her, stopping her movements. Says Shishi, what are you doing? Weren't we supposed to discuss the script? He stood up immediately and distanced himself from her, knowing that something bad was about to happen. Let's discuss the script in bed. Don't you like my type? Li Shishi continued to slouch on the sofa. Sis, don't do this. I'm going to call for help if you keep this up. Yanran was about to open a door when Shishi grabbed him. Yanran, I've already gone to such lengths, so you don't fail to appreciate my kindness. Your sister seduced my boyfriend. Why are you still here protecting your chastity? The two of you are not good people. Shishi hugged him tightly. How is it possible that my sister seduced your boyfriend? She isn't that kind of person. Besides, she's married and her relationship with my brother-in-law is great. Why are you trying to sow discord? Yanran didn't believe that his sister could do such a thing. I'm referring to Yaksen. Although I have never seen her, the two of you look so familiar that I could recognize her at a glance. She is from the Land family, so stop pretending. Don't I know the kind of people in the Land family? If you don't obey today, you will be attacked when you leave this room. I have contacted the reporters. They'll come over as long as I send them a secret signal. If you don't agree, you will be very popular with the netizens tomorrow. Li Shishi hugged his waist and smiled. She isn't my sister. Yanran pushed away her forcefully. This is a good opportunity for Li Shishi. She fell back, held her stomach, and started to cry out in pain. What's wrong? Yanran looked at the woman on the ground at a loss. Li Shishi's face was hideous as she held her stomach and shouted, My child, save him! Yanran was even more confused. She's pregnant? Blood gushed out from under her. You're pregnant and yet you're doing such a thing with me? Are you trying to frame me? Or are you trying to push the blame onto me? Yanran suddenly looked at her soberly. A large group of reporters barged in. They started filming Yanran on the ground. Why aren't you guys calling for an ambulance instead of taking photos? Yanran shouted. The ambulance stopped under the hotel and Li Shishi was successfully carried into the ambulance as though everything was arranged. Many people saw traces of blood on Yanran's body. Hence, some people started spreading wild rumors. Do you think this child is Yanran's? That's hard to say. I heard that they were the only ones in the room, and the woman took off her clothes. Is he a jerk? I think that might be the case. She went to Yanran and asked him to be responsible for the child, but the bastard wasn't willing, so he hurt her, and the child is now gone. Hence, the rumors spread like wildfire across the internet. Some of the reporters posted the photos online and started to condemn this beastly person. Yanran didn't know what happened, but he went to the hospital alone and waited outside. In the end, the doctor came out to tell him that the child was gone. Before he could react, Tan Shilin hurried into the emergency room. What happened? Tell me, who are you? Tan Shilin grabbed his collar and questioned him. This is his only child, and he had gone back before they even met. How could he not be anxious? You can't blame me. What has Li Shishi's fall got to do with me? The fact that Yanran didn't admit it made Tan Shilin furious. Just then, a large group of reporters rushed into the hospital to look for news for Li Shishi. Is the child yours? Can you explain the situation? Why were the two of you in the room? Were the videos online real? Tan Shilin gave Yanran a punch as soon as they arrived. He felt like he was being cuckolded. Chapter 428, Misunderstanding. Isn't the child mine? When did you guys hook up? Tan Shilin grabbed his collar and asked angrily. The scene was just now been captured by the reporters, and the cameras flashed were frantically focused on the two of them. That has nothing to do with me. I was wrong. She came to find me herself. Yanran's words sounded like an excuse. Everyone, look at this adulterous pair. She wants to be the young lady of the Tan family? Ha, they're too shameless. Tan Shilin cursed at the delivery room. The reporters had taken enough photos, and many people were still in their original spots, but the operations behind the scenes had begun. Soon, the matter between Li Shishi and Yanran spread across the internet. Of course, Ayn Rand had already known about it. She had always believed her brother. Besides, after what happened last time, her brother wouldn't do such a thing again. Now that Mo Junrong wasn't around, she could only contact Kwan Mu herself. Manager Kwan, my brother wouldn't do such a thing. I hope you can quickly do public relations and explain this matter. Madam, this incident happened too suddenly. I need to find out the reason. Yan Ran is still at the hospital and I can't contact him at the moment, but don't worry. I will get someone to quickly handle the public relations and find out the truth. Kwan Mu immediately promised. Yan Ran found it strange. Why did Li Shishi suddenly find her brother? Just as she was at a loss, Ayn Rand's phone rang again. Ayn Rand, what happened to your brother? I can't get through to him on the phone. Why would he do such an irresponsible thing? Her mother couldn't believe that the news was referring to her son. How could a child raised by her be such an immoral person? Ayn Rand, is the news true? Did Yan Ran really do something so shameful? Ting Young sounded angry. Mom, Dad, there must be something fishy going on. Don't you believe in your son? I was about to rush over to the hospital to check out the situation. In any case, I believe that Yan Ran is innocent. I'll let you know if I hear anything. Yan Ran hung up the phone and hurried to the hospital. Yan Ran, have you forgotten our promise? The plan is about to happen. You can't neglect me because of your brother. Mo Sheng Li suddenly blocked the door and said. He knew that Ayn Rand would definitely avenge her brother and had seen the news online. That's why he hid at the door to remind her. Don't worry, Uncle. I didn't forget our promise. It's just that I have something urgent to attend to. Or did you forget that I need to save my brother? If something happens to him, our promise will naturally be broken. She smiled and brushed past him. At the hospital, Tan Shilin left after venting his anger. At this moment, the doctor pushed Li Shishi out. Li Shishi held a drip, her body weak and face pale. Mr. Yan Ran, do you admit that this child is yours? Do you have any plans for the future? Are you prepared to be responsible for this child and Li Shishi? Several reporters rushed forward and brought the microphone to his lips again. Yan Ran looked at them righteously. I definitely didn't do such a thing. I won't be responsible for it. I don't care what others say or how they scold me. I will never admit to something I didn't do. The truth will come to light eventually. I don't need to say anything. Are you saying that Li Shishi accused you? The reporter started asking questions again. Yan Ran didn't want to answer such questions anymore. He wanted to avoid the reporters. Everyone, don't make things difficult for my brother. I believe that he would never do such a thing. Yan Ran's voice suddenly sounded from behind the reporters and everyone turned to look. Yan Ran shed agitated tears. Finally, someone believed in him. Sis, I didn't do that kind of thing. Sis believes you. There must be something fishy going on. Don't make wild guesses. Seeing may not be the truth. We can't be fooled by what we see. If my brother did it, I would definitely make him take responsibility. But I believe that my brother is innocent. Ayn Rand is furious. After the reporters dispersed, Ayn Rand and Yan Ran returned home. The moment she entered the house, Ting Young was waiting. Kneel! He stood solemn at the door with a stick. Yan Ran fell to his knees. Dad, I really didn't do it. I was wronged. Yan Ran explained. Wronged? I can't even hold my head up with the overwhelming comments online. How could they accuse you for no reason? You are in the entertainment industry and you're only one awake. Did I teach you to be pure, an innocent person? How did you end up like this? How do I usually educate you? Did you ignore my words? Ting Yun was furious. He raised a stick in his hand, ready to hit him. Ayn Rand stopped him. Dad, we haven't gotten to the bottom of this matter yet. But don't you believe in your son? Someone is framing us. I think we should wait for the results. Ting Young, I don't think our son is that kind of person. If he really wanted a girlfriend, he wouldn't have waited until now based on his looks. Let's get this matter straight first. We can't accuse our son. Li Yi believed that her son wasn't that kind of person. Framed? Are you saying that he was framed? Ting Young stopped what he was doing and pulled his son up. The girl in the news doesn't seem to be a kind person. Is there a solution? Ting Young asked. Mom, Dad, I contacted Yan Ran's company. They will definitely investigate this matter and clear Yan Ran's name. At the hotel, the more Tan Shilin thought about it, the angrier he got. She lied to him. He was overjoyed to finally have a son, but he didn't expect that he would be cheated on. Online people called him Tan Darling. Li Shishi became Li Jinlian, and Lan Yanran became Lan Meking. How could he endure such a humiliation? Because of this child, he tolerated Li Shishi and invested a lot of money into her. Unwilling to give up, he took out his phone and called for Yaxin. Yaxin was in her room, paying close attention to Yanran's actions online. The phone rang and she saw that it was Tan Shilin. She didn't want to pick up, but since he kept calling, she had no choice but to pick up reluctantly. It's already so late. Why are you still calling me? Yaxin was furious. Did you see the news online? Your brother is in the limelight now. He even dares to steal my woman. What do you think we should do? Tan Shilin questioned. Chapter 429. She suffered on his behalf. Yaxin was a little worried that he would use her as a punching bag, so she pretended not to know. What has Yanran's incident got to do with me? He was the one who snatched your woman, not me. He is your brother. Aren't you supposed to repay this debt for him? Go to the Grand Forest Hotel immediately. I'll be waiting for you. Tan Shilin could only vent his frustrations on Yaxin. It's already so late. Let's do it tomorrow. My mom won't let me out. Besides, I'm not the one who made you a cuckold. Why are you looking for me? Yaxin was a little unwilling. As long as you went over now, she wouldn't recover. If you don't, your photos will be the same as the discussions online. You can weigh the pros and cons yourself. When Yaxin heard the call end, she frowned. She looked at the time on her phone. It was almost 10 p.m. She opened the door and looked at her mother, who was still busy in the kitchen. If she went out now, she would definitely be scolded, so she could only wait. Why did she have to be the scapegoat for the incident between Yan and Yanran? It wasn't fair at all. She had been paying close attention to Xu Yanshan's movements. After confirming that her mother had gone to bed, she slowly slipped out and went straight to the Grand Forest Hotel. Tan Shilin was getting impatient from waiting in the room. Why are you so late? Yaxin stood at the door empty-handed, looking at him blankly. Why should I be responsible for this matters? I didn't do it, so why should I suffer so much from them? Yaxin felt aggrieved. Because your surname is Lan, and these are your sibling. Your brother is an insolent. He snatched up my woman. Do you think I could live without taking revenge? Tan Shilin took out many items from under the bed. He picked up the whip and smiled sinisterly. Don't be scared. I don't usually like doing such things. It's just that I'm in a bad mood today. Let me just beat you for a few times and this money will be yours. Tan Shilin took out 20,000 yuan and threw it onto the bed. Yaxin looked at the 20,000 and was a little tempted, but the whip was too painful. She walked over slowly and said, Can you be gentler? What do you think? I don't want to hit you either. This is all because of your brother. Tan Shilin couldn't quench the hatred in his heart. He tore 2 pieces of paper beside the bedside, which were the names of the siblings, and stuck them onto her. Before Yaxin could reply, the whip lashed out at her. Yaxin laid in the bed, her teeth tightly biting the pillow. She buried her head in the blanket, not daring to make a single sound. After Tan Shilin vented his frustrations, he slowly stopped and panting. Bastard, how dare you betray me? I'll kill you. In the end, Yaxin's skin and flesh were lacerated, and she passed out from the pain. Tan Shilin's whip was also interrupted by her passing out, so he could only stop. He didn't let Yaxin go even after she fainted. He dragged her directly onto the bed, turned off the lights, and vented his beastliness. 2 hours later, Yaxin woke up slowly from the pain. Tan Shilin was long gone and the room was empty, leaving her alone. Beside her lay tens of thousands of banknotes. She looked at the money and silently shed tears. There was an additional hatred in her heart, as she held the tens of thousands tightly and used all of her strength. She had used all the humiliations she could get in exchange for this. She could definitely pay them back double. She returned home in the middle of the night, dragging her body that was full of pain. She and Shan and Zhao Shimu were already asleep, so she could only take out white wine and medicine from the bathroom and evenly spread it around her back. The physical pain was far inferior to the psychological one. She gritted her teeth and splashed a bottle of wine all over her wounds. It was painful, as though millions of ants had bitten her. She applied medicine to her wound half-heartedly, wrapped her back in a gauze. After she was done, she laid in the bed and didn't sleep for a long time. She met Tan Shilin because of the siblings, and she wouldn't forgive this man who brought her so much pain. The next day at the hospital, Li Shishi gradually woke up, and the first thing she saw was Anran and not Tan Shilin. "What are you doing here?" She looked up weakly. "You should ask yourself what you did and why you accused my brother. I know that he wouldn't have done such a thing. You also know it yourself," Anran said solemnly. She held a recording pen in her hand, wanting to record everything this woman said. With the previous experience, Li Shishi didn't tell her the truth at all. "I didn't do anything. This child was gone because of Yanran pushing me. I really didn't expect him to be such a person. Where did Shilin go?" Li Shishi turned to look at the hospital room, but there was no sign of him in the ward. "Are you saying that you had a miscarriage because my brother pushed you? Is that why the child isn't my brother's but Tan Shilin's?" Anran caught the main point. "This is Shilin's child, of course. Your brother is the murderer of my child. He is a murderer." Li Shishi stared with wide eyes and roared. Anran was a little confused. Why did the media say that this child was Yanran's? "Don't you know that the internet is claiming that the child is my brother's? Tan Shilin thinks you made him a cuckold, so he hasn't visited you yet. If you're planning this, you have failed. Netizens are calling you guys Li Jinlian and Tan Darlan. Are you satisfied with what you've done?" Li Shishi didn't expect things to turn out this way. She had just pushed the blame of losing her baby onto Yanran, but hadn't expected to backfire, and the internet had even accused her of being presumptuous. "It's not like that. They're speaking nonsense. This child is Shilin's. I'm going to post on Weibo and hold a press conference." Li Shishi hurriedly took out her phone and posted a Weibo post. She edited it, but it quickly attracted strong criticism from her netizens. Many people said that she was immoral and evil. Others said that she was being stubborn. Li Shishi was a little frustrated. She didn't expect things to turn out this way. It was because of the reporters watching her yesterday that she couldn't look at her phone and slept through the night. How did it end up like this? "Anran, help me. You have to clear things up for me. I can't accept such an insult for nothing. I haven't done anything to betray Shilin. You have to explain it to him." Li Shishi begged, her face full of horror, and she didn't look weak at all. Chapter 430, Trick. Does my brother deserve to be wronged? Have you thought about my brother's situation? Do you know how it feels to be accused? Anran smiled and said. She looked at the trending topics on her phone. Some were scolding Anran, and many fans were leaving the fandom. The brands he had endorsed also issued declarations. "Look at the phone. Look at what happened to my brother because of you. He was scolded so badly because of you. If I were to help you, then who will help my brother?" When Li Shishi saw this result, she should have been very satisfied, but because she was also caught up in it, she only had to compromise. "I can help your brother clear this matter, but you have to help me as well. Let's help each other." Anna looked at the woman on the hospital bed. She didn't seem to have any conditions that a miscarried woman should have. She had a bold suspicion. She went out to hold Shishi's hand and felt her pulse. She hadn't been pregnant at all. It was all an act. She looked at Li Shishi and agreed. "Announce that this has nothing to do with my brother and clarify your relationship with Tan Shilin. Don't you dare drag my brother down with you again. Then I will help you talk to Tan Shilin." And then proposed their deal. Without another word, Li Shishi immediately posted another statement online, claiming that her incident had nothing to do with Yanran, and that this was a misunderstanding that was caused by her accidental fall. She also said that the child belonged to her and Tan Shilin. As a result, there were many different opinions online, and everyone was speculating about what it meant. Shishi's manager was preparing to drag Yanran down to some more sympathy points, but was stopped by Li Shishi. She called Li Shishi. "What do you mean? Why didn't you discuss this with me before you posted it?" Li Shishi only wanted to clear her name as soon as possible. Did she have to care so much about her innocence? "Sis, I'm very busy right now. I didn't do such a thing as cheating. I just want to clear my name," she shouted angrily. "Do you know the effect of you posting on Weibo? Now that everyone is scolding you, do you still think it would work in this industry?" Lei Shishi's manager was furious. She had obeyed her orders, but now that even she couldn't take it, who would listen to Lei Shishi? Sis, help me, I can't do this anymore, Lei Shishi begged. The manager had no choice but to go public relations team to write another draft. Take care of yourself. Anran walked out of the hospital first. Lei Shishi hurriedly called Tan Shilin. Shilin, I didn't betray you. This child is yours. It's really yours, she panicked. You still have the cheek to call? Shameless. The incident between you and Yanran is known by everyone. Everyone knows that I've been made a cuckold. Do you leave me with any dignity? You still have the cheek to strut around in front of me? Shameless. I advise you to calculate the money I gave you and return it to me. Tan Shilin cursed. Shilin, I didn't. I really didn't. It was a misunderstanding. Yanran was the one who pushed me. The child died because of this. He was the murderer and I'm innocent. Back then I wanted to discuss this script with him, but he was aroused and he killed our child. Lei Shishi cried. Tan Shilin was a little confused as well. He had seen the news and they were indeed the same room, but he didn't know the details, so he was a little skeptical. You mean he killed my child? Tan Shilin asked in a daze. Yes. Shilin, you had to avenge our child. It doesn't matter if I'm innocent. We can't let our child die without knowing the reason. Lei Shishi cried very sadly. Tan Shilin was a little annoyed and he helped the phone. Yanran, just you wait. He slammed the table fiercely. At the door, Anran heard their conversation clearly. As expected, every word she said was false. Anran went straight to Tan Shilin. At the Tan Corporation, you dare to come again? Tan Shilin is furious. Boss Tan, your temper hasn't been good recently, so I won't beat around the bush. I'm here because of my brother. You must have seen the news online. I know that you will know Lei Shishi's true colors. Anran sat down and said, Do you know your brother's real identity? He killed my child. I've been waiting for a son all these years. Your brother killed my child. Tan Shilin gritted her teeth. Child? Did Lei Shishi tell you that? You'd better find out if you even have a child to begin with before you speak. Anran smiled and said, She took out a report and placed it on the table. What is this? Tan Shilin took it and looked at it. It was a blood sample certificate. That night, the blood on Lei Shishi's wasn't human blood. It was pig's blood from a bag used from filming. You were tricked. She wasn't pregnant at all. Anran smiled. Nonsense. How is this possible? She was pregnant. Tan Shilin didn't believe her and thought that she was making things up. Are you sure? Have you seen her pregnancy test results? Or the ultrascans? Why do you trust her so much? Yanran looked very confident as she stared at Tan Shilin. She told me she was pregnant. If she wasn't, how could she do such a thing? Tan Shilin asked in disbelief. I don't know the exact reason, but this child doesn't even exist. You can check it yourself if you don't believe me. Anran smiled. She went to the hotel where the incident took place and retrieved the blood. She only dared to tell Tan Shilin about it after results were out. I don't believe it! Jiang Mei! Jiang Mei! Tan Shilin shouted. Boss Tan, what happened? Jiang Mei ran out in a hurry. Go to the hotel where the incident took place and check the blood traces and surveillance camera. Hurry! Tan Shilin shouted. After Jiang Mei left, Anran stood up. Boss Tan, don't be fooled next time. My brother is innocent. She had just walked out when Yaxin walked in. Sis, what are you doing here? You don't look well. Are you ill? Anran's eyes lit up when she saw Yaxin. Although Yaxin's heart was full of hatred for her, she still smiled. Sis, I'm just here to work. There's nothing else. I'm leaving. Yaxin turned around. Anran found the girl's gait strange, but she couldn't pinpoint whether she was being paranoid or not. She couldn't care less now. Her brother's matter was more important. Chapter 431, Identifying Each Other. Is that your sister? She seduces our Mr. Tan all the time. They must have an unclear relationship. She's so shameless. Jiang Mei walked over and scolded with a smile. Anna just smiled and didn't say anything. After she left the company, she handed the information to Yanran's manager. Soon they posted an explanation online and posted a lot of evidence, but many people didn't believe it. This is just a trick for the entertainment circle. Do you take us for fools? Wang King had to sue Lei Shishi after seeing so much evidence. Hence, Wang King immediately contacted the legal department and sent Li Shixi's a lawyer's letter and publicly published the news online. In the hospital, Tan Shilin had just arrived at Li Shixi's ward. "Shilin, you're here?" Li Shixi looked at him excitedly. "Tell me the truth. What happened to the child?" Tan Shilin asked seriously. "Yan Yan is the murderer. He killed your child." "You wouldn't believe that I cheated on you, would you? Those people are talking nonsense. They are accusing me," Li Shixi cried. "Have I wronged you? How can I believe you when I saw the two of you in the room on the news? It was so late and you guys were alone in the room. You were also wearing such revealing clothes." Tan Shilin studied the news carefully. She saw Li Shixi in the video wearing sexy pajamas, while Yan Ran in the hotel room alone. "I didn't. That day, I just wanted to discuss the script with him. There were a few scenes I wanted to change with him, but I didn't expect him to touch me when he saw me." Li Shishi continued to act pitiful. "Don't cry. Was this child real or fake? Tell me the truth, and don't wait for me to find out, or else we won't even have the chance to discuss this later." Tan Shilin's tone softened when he saw how pitiful she was. "Of course the child was real. Don't you believe me at a time like this?" Li Shishi's questioning tone and sad expression were hard to see through. "And don't blame me for being merciless if I find out that this child was fake. I can trust you for the time being, so I can't help you deal with Yan Ran. You know the consequences if I find out that you're lying to me." There wasn't even a trace of pity in Shilin's eyes when he said this, as he turned to leave. Li Shishi was a little worried. Once her matter was exposed, she would have nothing. However, there were only two of them at the scene, so the other didn't see the situation at all. No one could testify for him, so there was no one to tell her secret. She thought it was foolproof, so she wasn't worried. However, she turned on her phone and was dumbfounded when she saw the news. Yan Yan had sued her and had even helped clear his name. She didn't expect him to turn the tables on her. Hence, the two of them started a war of words online. The fans were cursing each other in private. "Our Shishi wants to clear things up for you. If you're so heartless and want to sue us, your morals are horrible. Shishi, don't be scared. With us as your strong backing, we will believe you that you're a good person. Let Yan Ran get out of the entertainment circle." A large group of Yan Ran's fans rushed into the comment section. "Is Li Shishi a good person? Have you forgotten about the incident that harmed Yan Ran? She wore such revealing clothes. Is she trying to seduce our Yan Ran? Seeing that the matter hasn't worked out, she's starting to frame us. What a terrifying woman. Li Shishi is the scheming one." Li Shishi was so angry that she threw her phone on the bed. She couldn't tolerate the malicious comments below. "Shishi, don't mind the comments online. They're just jealous of you." The assistant comforted her as she served tea. The internet doesn't know how to appreciate favors. Regardless, I helped him clarify the matter, but he returned a favor in ingratitude and has the cheek to accuse me. Sue me if he likes. He doesn't have any evidence anyway. Li Shishi was furious. She then announced online that Yan Ran killed her child, causing her popularity to soar. "Then Yan Ran is a murderer. He didn't want to violate me. He killed my child. I will make him pay with his life for my child." Li Shishi made a solemn vow, making many believe her lies. However, Wang King wasn't worried at all, as they had evidence of Li Shishi's fake pregnancy. Although the test results had yet to be confirmed, it was still strong evidence. At this moment, Yan Ran was watching everything closely at home. He hated Li Shishi's words, so he immediately made a statement. "I have never thought of taking advantage of her. I have never harmed her child, and everything she says is a lie. I will definitely seek the help of the law to help protect my rights." Yan Ran is furious. Many netizens who supported him urged him to hurry up. There were also many people who scolded him on Weibo, saying that he refused to admit and even denied it, but it didn't matter. Yan Ran still believed that there was justice. At the Mo family, Sheng Li had been following the news online. Now that Yan Ran was in trouble, Yan Ran definitely wouldn't have time to focus on his matters. Instead of waiting for her, it would be better to make things more troublesome for Yan Ran. He specially hired a group of netizens to publicize Yan Ran's crimes on the internet. He had also had people specially create chat records to accuse Yan Ran. They said that he didn't respect women at all and hung up with different women. Moreover, he was the type that loved to do it with both men and women. After that, Sheng Li went to see the shareholders. These people held the large shares in the Mo family shareholder meeting. He wanted to acquire the shares so that he would become the biggest shareholder of the Mo family. Mr. Mo, why did you call us here? Zhao Zhen smiled. Why not, Boss Zhao? Amongst the shareholders, you are the oldest and have been with the Mo family the longest. You were around since the Mo family was founded. I remember that when my father was still alive, you were with him and had a deep relationship with the Mo Corporation. You have controlled the Mo family for so many years, so don't you think it's time to hand it over? Sheng Li said. What do you mean? I'm the biggest shareholder of the Mo Corporation apart from Jinrong. Does he know that you're acquiring my shares? Zhao Zhen smiled on the surface, but he had a plan. He had long heard that Sheng Li's reputation in the company wasn't good. Was he thinking of taking over the company alone? I'm also a member of the Mo family. Something happened to my second brother and third brother, and Jinrong is still young. Even though he may have brought the company to the position of the top 3 in the world in such a short time, I am still his uncle. Must I discuss the acquisition of shares with him? Sheng Li said. Chapter 432, Purchasing Shares. Mr. Mo, Jinrong is the legal representative of the Mo Corporation. We are old employees who have accustomed old Master Mo. When he was still alive, he told us to take care of young Master Jinrong. You may not know this, but young Master Jinrong has managed the company in an orderly manner. You've seen the results, so I won't say anything more. We're all here to assist young Master Jinrong in ascending the ranks. It isn't justifiable for you to suddenly make us hand over our shares. Jinrong has informed us we can fire anyone who wants to discuss the shares with you. Li Taiyan smiled. The shareholders looked at each other, both thinking that Sheng Li was trying to usurp the throne. We're both old employees, and you have accompanied my father. As long as you hand over your shares, I promise I won't treat you poorly. The position in the company still belongs to you. I just want to be the largest shareholder. You're probably guessing that I'm trying to usurp the company. Jinrong has 60% of the company's shares, so I can't be much higher than him. But I am his uncle, after all. I can't accept not having any rights in the company. Your positions in the company have never changed over the years. Don't you want to get a promotion and a raise? If you transfer your shares from me, I can help you with a better life. Faced with Sheng Li's promise, a few of them looked at each other. They were tempted, but they couldn't trust him easily. Jinrong sent someone to inform us. It's too risky. We still have feelings for their company. What if... Boss Zhao, you can't act so cowardly. Jinrong is out on a business trip, and you will be back in a few days. Hurry up and transfer your shares to me. Even if anything happens, I promise you will live a good life. I have made the agreement. You just need to sign it. Mo Sheng Li placed the share transfer agreement in front of everyone. Mr. Mo, is this appropriate? Zhao Zhen pushed the contract away. I just want to be the second largest shareholder. As long as you sign the agreement, I will keep my promise. Don't be frightened by Jinrong. I'm his uncle. I don't think he'll dare to say anything. Sheng Li took out a large bag of cash from under the table and placed 4 or 5 bundles in front of everyone. This is an extra incentive, and there are tens of millions in this bag. I took out from the bank especially for all of you. Once you sign this agreement, all of this money will transfer into your shares. This is just a small portion, and it will be more in the future. Would you like to consider it? Zhao Zhen looked at the few people on the table. They were a little tempted. After all, who wouldn't be moved by a few million yuan placed in front of them? Mr. Mo, how can we accept this? Bao Chunlei took the money from the table and slipped it into his pocket. He smiled and signed the agreement. Boss Bo, you have betrayed Jinrong. Aren't you afraid that he'll find trouble with you in the future? Zhao Zhen asked. With Mr. Mo here, I'm not afraid of anything. Think about it. All of these years in the Mo Corporation, our salaries and position haven't risen. We only get so many dividends every quarter. My whole family needs to eat, and I haven't seen Jinrong raise my salary in so many years. It just so happens that there are some other headhunters are looking for me. Their salary is much higher than staying here. Besides, I only have a little bit, and my shares don't hold much benefit. I'll just transfer it to him. Bao Chunlei smiled and signed a contract. He was prepared to tell Mo Jinrong that he was quitting the shareholder position. Other companies offered more resources than this one. Zhao Zhen hesitated and looked at the contract in his hand. Boss Zhao, Boss Bo didn't hesitate. You should sign it now. Shangli casually took out several million yuan and sprinkled it before Bao Chunlei. The whole table was envious. They looked at each other, wanting to pick up their pens, and the door suddenly opened. Dear shareholders, is there a shareholders meeting or something? Why didn't you inform me? Jinra's voice suddenly came from behind a door. Shangli was startled, like a child who had done something wrong and was caught red-handed. Jinra, weren't you on a business trip abroad? Why are you back so early? I would have come and fetched you, if I had known. Shangli said. Fetched me? If I told you I'm back, wouldn't you have been unable to hold your shareholders meeting? Jinra walked 2 rounds around the table. He picked up the share transfer agreement on the table and looked at it. Boss Bo, I heard that you have been wanting to resign for a long time. I'll grant you your wish. You're no longer a member of the shareholders meeting, and I will make an announcement to the entire business world that you are fired. Boss Mo, I was momentarily confused. Please forgive me. This is a joke. I didn't mean to transfer it. Bao Chunlei smiled awkwardly, looking humble. You have signed the contract, yet you tell me you didn't intend to transfer the shares? Don't worry. I will fulfill your wishes. Who else wants to be like him? I can satisfy you all. You are the founding members of my grandfather's generation. I shouldn't have said anything, but it seems like you don't want to work anymore since you're doing such a thing behind my back. If anyone wants to sign this agreement, I won't stop them. Sign it now, in front of me. Jinran suddenly roared, startling everyone at the table. Jinran, don't be angry. Listen to my explanation first. I didn't mean anything by it. It's just that it's unfair that I don't have any rights to the company. I wanted to take more shares and become the second largest shareholder. I really didn't have any intention of usurping the throne. Mo Shangli hurriedly explained. Uncle, do you think you can do whatever you want just because I'm not around these few days? These are old shareholders who have followed my grandfather around the world. What are you trying to do, targeting them and wanting to take their shares? Don't you know that your position in the company is only what it is? Jinrong sat down and said calmly. Jinrong, I was wrong, alright? I'll give back the shares and won't let anyone sign a contract, alright? Shangli immediately took back all the agreements, preparing to destroy them. Uncle, are you prepared to destroy the evidence? I hadn't even been around in these past few days, and I heard that you've been very arrogant in the company. You're holding a shareholders meeting behind my back. Do you still respect me? Tell me what you want to do. Don't do such things behind my back. Or else, I wouldn't know if the company was suddenly gone one day. Jinan turned his head and glanced at the old shareholders. He knew that they had followed his grandfather for so many years, but things had changed, and many people have changed. Boss Zhao, I remember that you and my grandfather were close when I was young. Why are you participating in such a function now? Are you thinking of giving up your shares and leaving the Mole Corporation? Zhao Zhen didn't dare to look into Jinrong's eyes. Chapter 433 Discovered. What are you talking about? How could I betray your grandfather? I didn't intend to sign the agreement at all. He called me out on the pretext of eating. I have no idea what was happening. Jinrong nodded and continued to look at the others. What about you guys? You didn't know about this either? The others shook their head. Jinrong nodded with a smile. It seems that Boss Bo is the only one who wants to leave the company. I'll grant your wish. From today onwards, you're no longer a shareholder of the Mole Corporation. I'll take back all your shares and you'll be labeled as a traitor in the industry. I want to see which company dares to hire you as a shareholder. Boss Mo, I've been with you for so many years. You can't treat me like this. I just wanted to find a better life. All of these years, I've only held a small portion of the shares, and I couldn't meet ends meet with these dividends. If you don't even raise my salary, how am I going to support my family? Bao Chunlei wasn't tall, and his appearance wasn't good either. When he begged for mercy, he seemed even smaller, losing his manly appearance. Don't think I don't know what you've been doing outside. If you don't have so many foreign affairs and buy so many luxury goods, you wouldn't have to run out of money. It'd be strange if your money could be enough when you have all so many illegitimate children outside. You could only blame yourself. From now on, get out of my sight, Jinran said furiously. Mo San pulled Bao Chunlei out, and Jinrong looked up at the people around the table. If anyone dares to harbor such thoughts in the future, you don't have to hide it from me. Tell me directly, and I can satisfy all of your requests. Didn't I remind you before that if anyone dares to make such a mistake again, you'll be chased out of the Moore Corporation? Zao panicked. I didn't sign the agreement. No matter what, I have followed your grandfather since early times. You can't treat me like this. So why did you do this if you were scared? I didn't say I would fire you. As long as you all behave, the bonus will be enough to last you for the rest of your lives. But if anyone still doesn't want to behave, don't blame me for being merciless. Dunyan stood up, collecting all the transfer papers, and looked at Shengli with a smile. Uncle, I have treated you quite well, haven't I? I gave you Uncle Cheng Wen's position. Even if you're dissatisfied, there's no need to bribe others and take people's shares while I'm not around. From now on, you will never interfere with any company matters. The stock industry is quite suitable for you, so stop bothering around the company. Shengli raised his head and looked at him with hatred. Dunyan, don't go overboard. I have a part in the company, and I'm also grandfather's biological child. This company doesn't belong to you alone. It won't do you any good to be the only one that powerful. I am the legal representative of the company. If you have any questions, you're welcome to consult a legal department. I can chase you out of the company and sue you based on today's incident. But because you're uncle, I will let you off. I hope you will behave yourself. Junrong turned to leave with Mosan. The shareholders at the table followed after Junrong. Damn it! A bunch of ingrates, Shengli cursed. The plan was about to succeed today, but Junrong appeared at such an inappropriate time. Young master, we can arrest him to prevent future trouble. It'll be troublesome if something happens again in the future. Mosan didn't think Shengli was a forgiving person. Grandma doesn't know about this yet. I'm afraid that she won't be able to take it. If Uncle really did something big and we had him arrested, then Grandma wouldn't say anything. Junrong cared about old Mrs. Moses' feelings. After all, he was her only grandchild. Okay, but young master, Yanran's incident is now spreading like wildfire on the internet. Mr. Mo has sent away fake reviewers to defame him. Do you want to help? Junrong thought for a moment and said, tell Quan Mu to press charges and get compensation for those who deserve it. It's best if they can make it known to others and the other party is defaming our family. Anran had been waiting at the medical laboratory department. This kind of matter needed an authoritative power to resolve it, so she had to wait for the results from the proper laboratory. Tan Shilin even attacked Yanran online, claiming that he would investigate the matter thoroughly. Many sympathized with him and felt that he had suffered a great grievance, so many people supported his decision to protect his rights. Yanran wasn't affected by the news. As long as the results were out, the truth would be revealed. After an hour, the test results were finally out. The test result came back that the blood Li Shishi used was pig's blood and not human blood. So Li Shishi had been faking her pregnancy. She reported this news to Wang King. Wang King sent a verification report at the speed of light, silencing the haters. They didn't say anything when they saw the test results. At the same time, many people expressed their disappointment. Li Shishi cheated our feelings. I'm out of her fandom. Why is my goddess such a person? Framing someone. The thief is accusing the thief. Li Shishi was jumping in excitement when she saw the news of Yanran online. She felt that she didn't need to do anything when she saw the insults online, but the next second she was dumbfounded. The winds of hatred were blowing in her direction, and many were cursing her. What happened? Why are some people scolding me? Shishi, was your pregnancy fake? Just as the assistant asked this, Li Shishi picked up a cup beside her and smashed it. Scram! She glared at her assistant angrily, her gaze horrifying. The assistant's leg was scratched by the shattered glass fragments and she limped out. Li Shishi picked up her phone and posted a statement to clear her own name online. Yanran is a scumbag. He framed me while we were fighting. He took advantage of me first, and I was just resisting. Don't believe him. He's a liar. It's fake. All of this is fake. Many netizens saw the test results online and could not control their emotions. Momentarily, many endorsements and advertisements issued declarations to cancel the cooperation with Li Shishi. Tan Shilin had just witnessed the intense fight of the netizens online and was furious. This woman had lied to him again. Just then, Jiang Mei called, her voice soft and cute. Mr. Tan, I knew that woman was a vixen. She lied to you. I went to the police to collect the blood that was left on the floor. It really is pig's blood. I brought the test report over. Before Jiyoung Mei could finish speaking, Tan Shilin hung up angrily. He felt like a fool for being deceived. Chapter 434, Ruined. Li Shishi was lying in bed feeling furious. When she saw Tan Shilin, presumed that he was here because of the news online. She immediately pretended to be pitiful. Shilin, it's not what you think. You were tricked by him. Shilin turned on his phone and took out the test report for Li Shishi. When he was on his way over, he asked Jiyoung Mei to take a photo of the report and send it to him. Li Shishi took his phone and looked at the report. His expression froze for a moment. She didn't expect Tan Shilin to check the hotel's bloodstains. Shilin, listen to me. It's not what you think. You have misunderstood me. The report is fake. Someone must have framed you. If I lied to you, how could I have been hospitalized? The doctor definitely wouldn't have agreed to it. Li Shishi grabbed his arm and explained hurriedly. The evidence is right here, and you're still denying it? Didn't I tell you that you'll have to bear the consequences if you lied to me? Tan Shilin was flushed with agitation. Sweetheart, I'm not lying, it's true. Li Shishi refused to admit it. Tan Shilin had no choice. He grabbed her arm forcefully and dragged her off the bed. Li Shishi cried as she was dragged off the bed. What are you doing? Shilin, don't treat me like this. I didn't lie to you. Just then, some reporters barged in, snapping photos of the two of them. Miss Shishi, what is going on? Mr. Tan, are you abusing a woman? The reporters held a microphone. You came at the right time. I want to expose this woman's true colors. She seduced another man behind my back and lied to me. She said that she was pregnant, but it was all fake. The hospitalization is also fake, and the news online is all fake. She's a complete liar. She lied to all of her fans, but you're still trying to clear her name? Isn't that silly? Are you saying that she lied to you? May I know the reason you believe this? The reporters continued to press the microphone to his mouth. Li Shishi sat by the bed crying and shaking her head in denial. I didn't. I was wronged. You dare to accuse me? You made me a cuckold outside, and now you dare to deceive me with this child's incident. Are you even worthy to be the young mistress of the Tan family? You must be dreaming. Tan Shilin cursed and passed the test report on his phone to the reporters. Look, this is the blood she shed when you saw her the other day. It wasn't even human's blood. It was pig's blood. I was wondering how such a coincidence could have happened when the reporters went in to take a look. It turned out to be all a lie. No, it's fake. It's fake. Tan Shilin, how could you treat me like this, you heartless person? Li Shishi refused to admit it, even though all the evidence was in front of her. Some reporters posted this online, and many praised Li Shishi for being a good actress. Either this was fake, or her acting was just too good. When Yan Yan saw that Li Shishi still refused to admit it, he suddenly remembered that he had recorded an audio. He immediately posted the video message online, causing a stir. Many people had heard the recording and didn't expect the former national goddess to be such a woman. Some of her die-hard fans originally wanted to defend Li Shishi, saying that it was all rumor, but that was her voice. He couldn't say anything, so they kept quiet. I didn't expect her to be such a woman. She seduced Yan Ran and was rejected. How embarrassing. However, there are still some of those who agreed with Shishi. They braced themselves and said that the recording was fake and that all the evidence was fake. They still believed that Li Shishi was innocent. However, such people were quickly suppressed by the hot searches and disappeared into the ocean, never to be seen again. The comment section was abuzz. The reporters in the hospital caught wind of the big news. Li Shishi was considered to be the nation's top celebrity and probably wouldn't be able to rise again. Everyone could see her real appearance. Li Shishi, are you worthy to be the young lady of the Tan family? Tan Shilin sneered, his eyes full of contempt. He should have known that none of the women who got close to him from the entertainment circle would treat him sincerely. They only wanted his resources, but he was deceived by the child in her belly. Tan Shilin, how could you be the only one to find a woman outside? Why can't I seduce other men? Aren't men and women equal? Why can't I? Li Shishi suddenly couldn't hold it anymore. She stood up and said her piece bitterly. You admit it? As expected, you did all of this. I have given you everything you wanted. Money and bags. Didn't I tell you to give birth to the child so that we can register you as the young mistress of the Tan family? Who knew you were so greedy? When Tan Shilin saw that she had finally admitted it, he was a little agitated and furious. I'm greedy. If you hadn't found so many mistresses outside, would I have become like this? If your dad hadn't refused to accept me, would I have become like this? We could have settled this privately, but you insisted on tearing apart all the pretenses and ruined my life. Are you satisfied now? Li Shishi smiled at the camera, looking a little haggard. I am the young master of the Tan family, and I am a man. Isn't it normal for me to do such things? You are a woman, yet you don't behave like a woman at all. Tan Shilin's words in front of the media caused a stir, but he didn't care. Who asked him to be so rich? You're a man and you only think about whatever you want. Get out now. You didn't dump me. I dumped you. Li Shishi pointed at the door and the reporter was breaking down slightly. Just you wait. I guarantee you won't be able to stay in the entertainment circle. Tan Shilin disappeared from the media's sight after saying this. He had just left the hospital when he received a call from old Master Tan. Shilin, what happened? Where is my grandson? The matter had blown up, and it was difficult for old Master Tan not to see. He was shocked that his grandson had disappeared into thin air, and all his hopes were dashed. Don't be anxious. I will tell you about it when I come back. I saw everything you said online. I said that the women from the entertainment industry are greedy for your money, but you didn't believe me. You kicked Xiao Hu away for that woman. How did I give birth to such a prodigal son? Old Master Tan cursed furiously through the phone. Tan Shilin was a little regretful now, but he cared about his dignity and couldn't say that he regretted it. Don't worry, I'll find a woman better than Xiao Hu and bring her back to give you a fat grandson. There's no need for you to find her. I'll help you find her this time. I have my eyes on a family that does business. Their daughter is a little old, but she's unmarried. It's best that you come back so we can arrange a marriage. Old Master Tan said furiously. Dad, what era are we in? Why are you in charge of my marriage? Tan Shilin wasn't satisfied with old Master Tan's decision. I'll arrange an arranged marriage for you. Do you think that the women you find are fine? This matter has escalated to such an extent. It's an embarrassment to our Tan family. Old Master Tan watched the comments about his son online. There were all kinds of things being said. How could he not be upset? Chapter 435, Office Romance. At the Mo family, after being caught last time, Sheng Li had restrained himself. Old Mrs. Mo was arranging the flowers in the garden. Mo Sheng Li stepped forward and spoke flatteringly. Mom, tell Junran to let me go to work. I promise I won't fool around again. Old Mrs. Mo turned to look at him and continued to trim the flowers. Sheng Li, I don't want to nag you, but how old are you already? Why are you behaving like a child? Junran didn't tell me about the matters of the company, but I heard about the lousy things you did to others. I know that you just came back and have missed out on all the experience in the Mo family, but this isn't a reason for you to usurp the position. The shareholders of the Mo Corporation grew up with your father, and you're older than you. What are you trying to do by buying their shares? I can't blame Junran for criticizing you. Previously, Chang Wen did things behind my back. Are you going to do things behind my back too? Old Mrs. Mo put down the scissors in her hand while she talked. Mom, I'm not trying to usurp Junran. It's just in the past few days I haven't earned as much and I'm working elsewhere. Junran didn't increase my salary and bring me any document. I'm just trying those boring jobs every day. I'm just a fake emperor. Aren't you worried about me? Sheng Li felt wronged. You haven't tried to usurp the position? Let me tell you, there's only one CEO in the Mo Corporation, and that's Mo Junran. You have seen Junran's ability. The corporation wouldn't be where it is today without him. If I were to hand the company over to you, how long do you think the company would last? I heard that the last time you took a check to threaten the finance department to retrieve $2 billion. Although $2 billion isn't a large sum for us, it isn't a small sum either. You would have to get Junran's position to use this money. Junran didn't say anything because you're his uncle, but you can't go overboard. You can rest at home for a while and do your stocks. Don't interfere with the company's matters anymore. I agree with Junran's suggestions. Well, Mrs. Mo continued to hold the scissors in her hand and began to trim the flowers again. You should rest while I trim the flowers. He snatched the scissors from old Mrs. Mo and trimmed the blooming roses. These flowers were growing well. How could you cut them off their roots? These are my most cherished things. How could you not cherish them? Old Mrs. Mo stepped forward to snatch the scissors, but it was held tightly by Sheng Li. Mom, let me cut it. It's a sin for certain things to bloom too luxuriously. I just don't like the way it attracts too much attention amidst the crowd. Shang Li's words had a double meaning, shocking old Mrs. Mo. She suddenly remembered Jinrong's words. After so many years, he had indeed changed. Shang Li, there are some things I advise you to let go as soon as possible. I know that you're upset and dissatisfied, but you should know when to stop. This flower is the best. So why don't you place it in a vase and admire its beauty? Old Mrs. Mo bent down and picked up the cut rose from the ground. Mom, I'm not in the mood to talk about such poetic things. I know that there are some things I must do and succeed in. Shang Li threw down the scissors in his hand and returned to the house. Old Mrs. Mo, Mr. Mo had changed. I don't remember him being like this before. Nanny Wu glanced at Shang Li worriedly. He's changed. I don't know what he experienced in these past few days. But it seems that Jinrong is right. We have to be careful. You go, old Mrs. Mo said to Nanny Wu. Nanny Wu turned to leave. Old Mrs. Mo looked at Shang Li walking into the house, sighed, and picked up to continue to cut the flowers. At the company, Anne Ran returned to the company after dealing with her brother's matter. Why didn't you tell me you were back? Anne Ran pushed the door open and saw Jinrong. He was sat behind his desk and looking down at his documents. Tell you, who is a spy? Jinrong joked. It's been a while since we last met. Did you miss me? Anna took the initiative to approach him with a smile. Jinrong pulled her into his arms, raising an eyebrow with a smile. Of course I did. Why else would I be back so soon? Didn't you say that I would take half a month? It hasn't even been 15 days. Actually, I didn't leave the country. I sent someone secretly to monitor Shang Li and discovered that he was secretly taking the shareholders' shares. I didn't expect him to be so impatient after such a long time. Jinrong didn't expect Shang Li to be in such a hurry. You are indeed an old fox. Anna nodded her head and smiled. I've been gone for so many days and heard that the Land family's matters. Yaxin still hasn't agreed to the marriage. Jinrong had been sending people to monitor Yaxin. Actually, he expected this. It wouldn't be easy for her to agree. It's normal for Yaxin to disagree. She agrees so easily, I wouldn't know what to do. Anna sat on Jinrong's lap, swaying leisurely. I'll talk to the Zhu family and get them to pressure her. It's up to you. Since my brother's matter is resolved, I'm not in a hurry. I'm going to Research Institute to work and may not have time to come over and accompany you. Enran hugged his neck and smiled innocently. Are you preparing before you start to work? I've missed you a lot these past few days. When Jinrong grabbed her hand, he suddenly glanced at the jade bracelet on her wrist. Enran's face was flushed, and she spoke shyly. Are you that anxious? Jinrong suddenly hugged her waist tightly and kissed her on the cheek. It's been a long time since we've been married, but I haven't touched your body. How many couples do you think there are that are like us in the world? Jinrong said softly by her ear, causing her face to flush. Then, are we doing it here? Jinrong pointed to the sofa shyly. Jinrong perked up and pushed her onto the sofa, preparing to take a bite. But there was suddenly a knock on the office door. Young master, the Qin family is here. Mo-san's inappropriate words interrupted our conversation. Damn it, Graham. He originally didn't want to talk to the old bastard, Qin Hao, but Mo-san didn't have a choice as he continued speaking. He's already waiting in the conference room. He says he has something to discuss with you. Mo-san seemed to be disturbing his boss, but Qin Hao's matters were urgent. Jinrong looked at the beating in front of him impatiently. He only stood up reluctantly after sucking a large hickey onto her neck and collarbone. He straightened his clothes and opened the door. What is that old fox doing here today? Mo-san shook his head. He didn't say anything. He just told me to invite you over, and I just left him waiting after that. Jinrong wanted to close the door, but Ainman sat up and said, Boss Mo, I will go ahead if you need something to do. You don't have to skip your meeting because of me. I have something to do, so I'll take my leave. Anna picked up her bag and walked past Jinrong.